like my parents, most of their friends, or every friend that I've met of theirs, for the most part, is black. My dad, he's very, he's very known by a lot of black people. I mean, yeah, for most different reasons. So he's very known. He's very kind of My dad's kind of popular. Like if we go someplace, like if we go to church or whatever, people would like talk to my dad and be like, "Oh, what's up, Carlos?" Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Very known. Throughout like the black people, right? But like according to me, like I didn't really have any black friends like at all.
Hello, welcome to Raccoon Talk, a podcast where we dig through the garbage can of the world. If you haven't already, make sure you follow us on Instagram at Raccoon Talk. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoy.
You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, like, what do we? I don't know. Like, I kind of grew up like being distanced from black culture in a way, like it not having all of it because even though my parents were like feeding it to me when I got home, I still wasn't kind of getting it anywhere else, and I wasn't hanging out with people that like looked like me, except for like maybe one or two people. Like Anastasia, she is like from Kenya, and I remember her telling me about like being African and stuff, and I couldn't relate to her at all. I was like, that was like the first time I recognized I was black. Like, wait, okay? I saw a podcast clip, and it was like, when was the time that you recognized that you were black? And there's something like whatever, right? But I remember talking to Anastasia, and I was like, wait a minute, we're both black, but you're I don't do any of that stuff. I don't eat any of that food. I don't speak a different language. Like what? My parents are immigrants. Like what's going on? Like my parents didn't come here. They were just born here, uh, being black. Like I don't have a special accent or anything. I don't have family in like that I know in Africa. And I was like, damn, we're like different. Like I'm black. Like I'm African American, and she's just African. You know what I mean?
So, like growing up, my parents they always told me I was Indian, right? Like I was aware of that, and I
Yeah,
thought of myself as an Indian. But when did I realize that like other people aren't Indian?
yeah. Like you were different from others.
Yeah, you're different from other people. Uh, that was probably in preschool. I knew I was different, but like I embraced that as it was okay. Probably in first grade,
Mm.
because in first grade I had no Indian friends, and there's this one Indian kid who came to our class, and he had genuinely immigrated from India, and he pronounced things different. Instead of saying H, like the letter, he said H, and everyone made fun of him.
Oh.
And he was like, "Well, in India they say H," and they're like, "We're not in India, we're in America." And then and I like I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to be viewed like how he was viewed. So that's when I started changing.
I think I think there's like something subconscious in my brain, but it's more like those black people, like
What do you?
ghetto black people,
Oh yeah.
those black people. Like I feel like a lot of people around me, like especially like my parents and stuff, like I talk to my mom now, and she's like, "That's so ghetto." Like she'll say that, like you don't wear pajamas in public, and like I get what she means because like that's pretty valid. Like honestly, like I don't know what I was thinking back then. I remember telling her I want to wear pajamas in public. Like, know what the fuck I was thinking. Like, I'm honestly so glad that she stopped me because I really, I just wanted to be like those white kids at school who would
Oh
like
my
wear
god!
pajama
Why?
pants.
Why do they even have pajamas? Like, why do you need to sleep in different clothes?
No, I was thinking the same thing because I just wear shorts and a t-shirt and an old t-shirt. I don't wear pajamas.
Why do you need it? You know, pajama day at school. I don't have any pajamas. I don't need them.
No, that's real because all of my pajamas that I had were like pajamas that I got when I was really young and I just never wore like nightgowns and shit. And
Mhm.
I asked my parents, I was like, Mom, I need new pajamas for pajama.
My brother did the same thing. He was like, "Guys, I need pajamas for pajama day," and, and he was so like upset about it because he was like, I never get to wear pajamas for pajama day, and now he has the pajamas, but then like he didn't actually wear them after pajama day, and they got so mad at him. Why don't you sleep in your pajamas? That's what they're for. They're for sleeping.
My mom, she says the same thing to me. She was like, "Why don't you sleep in your like? Why don't you wear pajamas to bed?" Because sometimes I'll just fall asleep. Like I think pajamas is like sleepwear, like anything you can wear to sleep. So like pajamas is not exclusively like pajamas, right? The typical pajamas, but it's more
Yeah,
like
but what the hell is up with that?
anything you can wear. To
You know what else is insane? Like,
Yeah,
um, the the don't. Do you guys have don't put your elbows on the table? Do you have that
yeah,
rule?
yeah. It's manners.
I don't. I've never understood that.
I've never understood it either, but I just do it.
No one in India has that rule, and we eat with our hands too. And I don't, and that's not like that's not accepted in American culture. So I remember I used to eat with my hands, right? And I
Yeah.
did that in until preschool, and then the teacher told me to stop. And then from then on, I never ate with my hands. I used a spoon. And then recently, this was before my India trip. My Bangladeshi friend, they
Mm.
who came to our house, they're like, hey, why don't you eat with your hands? Because that's what they all do. And I made a little joke. I said, "How whitewashed," and then, haha, it's okay. But then during the India trip, I started eating with my hands, right? And it's actually a lot easier, and I like it a lot more. So I'm gonna keep doing it.
I eat with my hands. When I'm at home, I just eat
Yeah.
with my hands. But I feel like it's easier to eat with a spoon. I eat everything with a spoon.
Yo, I gotta talk about like what a traumatizing experience lunch is for a bunch of Asian kids. Cause I remember this being an experience that everybody had. Everyone would be eating their like rice or whatever with their lunchbox in front of the food, so other people didn't see. That's
I
what
was
I
like,
did as well.
did you ever get? I remember thinking in my head, as a kid, like I wouldn't say it because I was not an idiot. But I remember being like, because this one kid that used to sit across from me, and his food, it was in, I think he was like South Asian, and his food like was very potent in smell, and I was
Yeah,
like,
it has this. I used to be so embarrassed about that, and like the oil would leak out from my lunchbox into my backpack, and I
oh
hated
my
it.
god.
But
I feel
it's
bad.
peanut oil. It's good
I feel
oil.
bad because back then I used to be like, man, that smell does not smell very good. But I wouldn't say anything because I was afraid of being racist. I was like, that's racist if I say that. So I'm
No,
not gonna say
some
that.
kids weren't afraid of being racist. I specifically remember this one incident. He went, "Ew, what is that?" And he like, there are other kids at the table, and he was like, "Guys, look!" And he pointed to my food, and this is the most relieving moment of my entire life. They're like, "What?" They're like, "What do you mean?" And they made him look stupid and
Yeah.
dumb. And that was like the most I still remember that. And that the kid who one of the kids who like was like, whatever, I don't care. I still see him around, but he probably doesn't remember. But that's okay.
The thing, I think I was more tolerant to it because, like, being black, like, like, I've eaten foods that, like, kind of smell like some bad, not bad, but they smell like they're very potent in smell. like like traditional soul food and stuff like that. Like I've eaten like intestines and I've eaten like feet and I've eaten tongue and I've eaten like a bunch of shit. And so it didn't like occur to me that it was like okay. I was thinking to myself, I was like, okay, this is just like somebody else's food. Like my food also kind of smells bad, but I've never brought that to school, so I wouldn't know. But you know what I mean. But also, what made me more like I guess like not care about it is because a lot of my friends, a lot of my black friends in elementary school and middle school were like African, right? And I had a friend that I ate with for lunch like every day for like 2 years, and his food, like his mom always brought him like traditional African food and stuff, and it smelled. It was very potent, but to me it smelled really good, and he let me eat some of it, but it was like now I'm used to.
Oh, you know what else? Um, I I hate like there I hate some people online. They're like, "Oh my god, how could anyone eat frogs? They're so cute." Shut up.
Every
Like,
animal is food if you put your mind to it.
every animal is food. Like there's my dad talked to the guy at the Asian market. He said it tasted like chicken. Everything tastes like chicken if you fry it enough. There's not if you can't if you're against eating frogs and dogs, then why are you not against eating cows or chickens? Shut up, kill yourself.
I think your opinion is very different from
No,
most
it's
people.
not, bro. No, it's not. It's like actually not. Is it only okay, only for Americans. It's like that. Oh my god, they're eating frogs and dogs. Like in no other place are you that this self-absorbed. Like, oh, other cultures eat other things.
I've never heard people say let's not eat frogs, because I think I've eaten a frog before, and I think I've eaten alligator as well, and it was pretty good. I'm gonna be real. It tastes like pork, but it was actually pretty good. But I've eaten those kind of things. I mean, I'll eat anything. I just don't think I'd eat dogs.
I
I'm really
don't
so sorry, but
Yeah,
I just
okay,
can't do
that's
it.
your personal choice. And I wouldn't eat dog either. But like the people villainizing people for eating dogs, why don't you villainize people for eating like sheep? It's the same thing.
I like sheep. I like sheep farmers because what they do is there's there's one sheep farm, like they have alpacas and stuff as well, and
Yeah.
they have the sheep, and then um they shave them, and they just use them as like infinite wool source, hack Minecraft glitch, and they just shave the sheep, and then when the sheep is shaved, they just let it roam, and then when they're done, they take care of it, and they let it grow back, and they shave it again, and they have more wool.
Hmm.
I think I think another thing that contributed to me being black, or like my experience growing up black, is the fact that I had mostly African friends instead of like African American. So whenever I would talk to my African friends, we wouldn't really talk about like being black, because I don't want to say this, but like I feel like the stereotypical African American friends is very different from like the stereotypical my friends' parents just immigrated here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
It's less like we're both black and more like you're American and I'm African.
yeah, and we didn't
Yeah.
really talk about race or anything either. I mean, obviously we kind of did, but we talked about more like our differences and whatever. Like I didn't really have a person that I could sit down and be like, ah, we're both black, until like middle school. You know what I mean? Or like late elementary school. But when I did, like I kind of started to appreciate my blackness more, because I like kind of I just like wasn't seeing it.
That's the end of the episode. We hope you enjoyed. This one was a little bit shorter. We did want to make it shorter because the last episode was 30 minutes long, which you should check out. It's about religion, and we had a guest on over, and he's a Catholic, and I'm a Hindu, and Addie's a Christian, so it made for some really interesting discussion. The song of the day is Big Mouth Strikes Again by the Smiths, and it's chosen by Addie.